Alright, so for this reassessment, we're going to be looking at momentum. I chose a problem which states initially a soccer ball is going 25.5 meters per second south. In the end, it is traveling 4.2 meters per second south. The ball changes its momentum in which it goes in a north direction of 17.58 kilograms per meters per second. We're asked to find the ball's mass. So from momentum, a couple things that we have to learn and or identify. We need to know the initial starting velocity of the ball, the final velocity, and then the change in momentum, which I derived as delta P. So to start off, we know that our initial starting velocity is 25.5 meters per second south, which in terms, if we look in terms of x and y planes, since we're going south, it is going to be a negative 25.5 meters per second. The same goes for our final velocity, where we are traveling in a south direction. So our velocity final is going to be negative as well, in which we have negative 4.2 meters per second. And then our change in momentum is going to be positive, since we're going in a north direction, in which we have 17.58 kilograms per meters per second. So we know that change in momentum normally happens because there's a change in velocity. So therefore, we can derive the formula as the change in momentum equals our mass times our velocity. And if we derive our formula, we know, so change in momentum equals our mass times delta times velocity. So delta P therefore equals our mass times our velocity final minus our velocity initial. And if we derive the formula again, we know that mass equals our change in momentum divided by our velocity final minus our velocity initial. So if we set that up, we get our change in momentum, which we derived earlier as 17.58 kilograms per meters per second, divided by our velocity final, which was negative 4.2 meters per second, minus our negative 25.5 meters per second, which was our velocity initial. So if we plug that in, we get that our mass is equal to 17.58 kilograms per meters per second divided by 21.3 meters per second. And if we plug that into our calculators, we get a final mass of 0.825 kilograms. So therefore, that is how we solve for the mass of the ball. We take our initial starting velocity, our final velocity, and then our change in momentum, and we come down here and we plug it into our formula, in which mass equals the change in momentum divided by our final velocity minus our velocity initial. And if we plug that in correctly, we will get that our mass is equal to some number. In this case, our mass equals 0.825 kilograms. So therefore, pretty straightforward momentum question, which basically just gives us a rundown of how to implement the change in momentum principle. So thanks again.